So some pretty big news dropped about Arbor Realty Trust on Friday, which caused a huge share price drop in their stock. At around 11 a.m. on Friday morning, Bloomberg broke news that Arbor Realty was being probed by the Department of Justice regarding their lending practices and loan book. According to the article, federal prosecutors in the Federal Bureau of Investigation in New York are looking into Arbor Realty Trust Inc. on the heels of short seller attacks about the lender's practices and disclosures, according to people familiar with the matter. The investigators are inquiring about lending practices and the company's claims about the performance of their loan book, said the people, who asked not to be named, discussing an ongoing investigation. Following the publication of this article, Arbor Realty responded saying that they were confident that they were conducting themselves properly. "We routinely cooperate with regulatory inquiries and are very confident that we are conducting ourselves properly," Arbor responded. As most of my viewers likely know, I am a shareholder of Arbor Realty, and like everyone else, I was caught off guard by the news that came out. Events like federal investigations are impossible to predict. These probes usually come out of nowhere, and until they get resolved, they can drag down the share price of these companies for an extended period of time. There's no doubt that a federal probe is the scariest thing that Arbor Realty has faced to date, ever since these short sellers started attacking this company more than 2 years ago at this point. To give a brief history, research companies including Ninja Research and more significantly Viceroy Research have been publishing short reports against Arbor Realty containing various allegations. Over the past couple years, I've gone through and reviewed a couple of these reports on this channel, and I pointed out some glaring issues with them. These reports are very sensationalized, making outrageous claims that Arbor Realty is worth zero, even though the allegations against them are regarding just a portion of their business. These reports usually don't identify the author, which you think they would given how much effort goes into them, and they're full of grammatical errors. I've read plenty of other short reports throughout the years, and what I've been seeing from Viceroy and Ninja doesn't look like any other short reports we see from more legitimate organizations. Despite these sketchy reports, ABR is still one of the most shorted stocks in the market, and every time one of these reports comes out, the market keeps believing them and the share price of ABR falls. Viceroy themselves have gotten into trouble many times for publishing false information, but the market keeps believing these reports that come out. I have no doubt that Viceroy has probably made a killing by publishing these reports. Practically every hit piece they publish has made them a lot of money. So of course they're going to keep attacking them as long as the market keeps believing them. That's despite Arbor continuing to post good results each quarter and their loan portfolio remaining fine throughout the past 2 years. But going back to the probe, the truth is this could have a lasting impact on ABR's share price. The issue with these probes is that they can take anywhere from a couple weeks to a couple years to resolve. There's no telling how long it'll take for the investigation to be concluded. But at this time, everything is simply allegations. There's zero concrete evidence that Arbor Realty has done anything wrong. But there's a couple of significant pieces of evidence that I think point to Arbor Realty likely not conducting any kind of fraudulent behavior. Literally just 4 days before the DOJ announcement came out, the Wall Street Journal published an article on commercial real estate fraud and even mentioned Arbor Realty and their CEO. In the article, "Property Fraud Allegations Snowball as Commercial Real Estate Values Fall," it was stated that the government has been aggressively investigating landlords this year and have been trying to uncover fraud that's been taking place in the sector that Arbor directly operates in. A large part of this company's business involves offering both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac multifamily loans, which are the organizations aggressively trying to seek out fraud right now. The truth is, Arbor isn't the only company that's been under investigation. Many other companies and landlords in this space are being investigated for fraud, and Arbor just happens to be one of the largest in this field. Given what happened between 2006 and 2008, when there was so much fraud in this sector, the government is not going to be so relaxed this time around. Since the government's really cracking down in this sector, it does make sense for them to look at Arbor's business. Ivan Kaufman even said that he believes there's a lot of fraud going on in this sector. Another thing I thought was worth looking at was insider activity. What we see from other companies that have gone through very serious scandals is that insiders usually like to unload their shares and take the profits right before their company's about to fall. Companies like Enron had board members who were defending themselves, but at the same time, they were secretly selling their own shares of their own stock. In terms of Arbor Realty, what we've been seeing from insider activity over the last year, according to SECform4.com, is that no company insiders have been selling their shares. In fact, the CEO of Arbor Realty has done nothing but buy more shares over the past 12 months. I like this quote by Peter Lynch that says, "Insiders might sell their shares for any number of reasons, but they only buy them for one. They think the price will rise." If Arbor was really a house of cards that was going to fall and the management team knew it, it doesn't make sense for them to keep buying shares of their own company with their own personal wealth. They know they'd just be throwing their money away. Let's also take note of who the CEO is of this company. Ivan Kaufman is the founder of Arbor Realty and has been their CEO for over 30 years. During the financial crisis, Arbor was investigated just like everyone else in this sector, and the management team was cleared. They absolutely suffered significantly, just like the whole sector, but they made it through and had no instances of fraud. What do you think the odds are that after all these decades of audits and reporting, that Kaufman and the company would just now start committing fraud? It's technically not impossible, but I'm betting the chances are astronomically low. So with all this in mind, how safe's the dividend right now regarding what's going on? Well, given the fact that it's just an investigation, the dividend isn't in any kind of danger right now. Going back to the Bloomberg article, after defending themselves, Arbor said that they were looking forward to their next earnings announcement. That sounds like confidence to me. It would look pretty awful if after saying this they reported serious losses. To give you an idea of how much this has impacted me personally, I'm going to show you how much ABR I own and my cost basis information. After the events from last Friday, right now I currently own 367.506 shares of ABR stock, worth a total of $4,737.15. Despite the serious share price fall, I'm still up roughly 6.12% on this holding. Before what happened on Friday, ABR was definitely a pretty well-performing investment in my portfolio in terms of total percentage. And according to the portfolio tracker that I use, Arbor Realty is currently 2.51% of my dividend portfolio. So to summarize everything, this is my opinion. This probe is a very unfortunate situation that's just a part of the government cracking down on trying to find fraud. It's likely to have a longer-lasting impact on this stock's share price. I'm not expecting ABR to see a strong recovery this week or likely in the immediate future. This is something that could continue to negatively impact its performance until it gets resolved, and again, that could be weeks or even up to a couple of years. Given Arbor's long history of zero fraud, the decades of not raising eyebrows, and the fact that the CEO has bought shares not too long ago, this would lead me to believe that the DOJ isn't going to find anything, at least nothing serious. And as for me, I could still take my profits right now and walk away. If I sold all my ABR shares, I'd be looking at a small capital gain. But I'm not going to do that, because I'm a dividend investor that's more focused on income. I'm willing to hold out until this gets resolved, and I'm also going to continue to reinvest my dividends. At this point, I'm not certain if I'm going to buy any more shares. If I do, it'll likely be in very small amounts. Looking ahead, there's two really crucial things we need to watch out for. We first need to look at their next earnings announcement and listen to their conference call, and we also need to keep an eye out for any Schedule 4s. If Kaufman starts selling shares, then I'll probably do the same. If I think the dividend is becoming jeopardized, then that's another reason why I would consider selling. But that's where I stand with ABR in light of this news. It could be a bit of a long waiting game until we see all this drama come to an end. But with that being said, that's going to conclude today's video. If you'd like to connect and also see what's inside my own personal dividend portfolio, then feel free to check me out over on our Patreon, where you'll receive updates and be able to talk to me and other higher yielding dividend and income investors. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and until next time, take care.